What's up, everybody? This is Carl from Technical Goodies, and today we are looking at the LTC gaming mouse. Now, I know you all have probably seen this keyboard on my desk. This is the LTC Nimbleback keyboard, and I absolutely love it. It's a mechanical keyboard made by LTC. I use it all the time, and I'm super happy with the keyboard itself and also the manufacturing quality of it. When LTC contacted me and said, hey, do you want to take a look at our mouse options? I said, yeah, absolutely, send it through. This is the GM41 mouse by LTC. Looking at the box here, it's got RGB backlight, ergonomic shape, programmable buttons, wide compatibility, obviously. And one of the things that I was interested in was the fact that this has not only has the mechanical switches, but if you look here, it has the scroll wheel on the top here, has a scroll wheel on the side here, and it also has 7 programmable buttons: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so that gives you a lot of flexibility. So I've actually been using this for a couple of days, and so has my son. Both of us have been pretty happy with the mouse itself. The glide ability across any surface is so smooth, and then the buttons give a really good tactile feedback. Now, this one in particular has a max DPI of 6200. Now, if you want a higher level of DPI, you can go with one of their other offerings. I'll actually put a link to this one down below, as well as a link to their website, so you can see their other mouse offerings and see which one you might want to take advantage of. Another thing I wanted to point out on this mouse is the fact that it's kind of a convertible mouse, okay? If you look on the bottom here, there's 2 things you can do. One, you can click this button right here, and that will cycle through the different RGB modes, blinking, strobing, all that kind of stuff. Now, they do have a software that you can install, but I like the option that you can change the RGB from there, so you don't have to install the software if you don't want to. But if you do, you're able to program the buttons to whatever you want them to be, as well as change the sensitivity, the DPI. You can also change the RGB. But the other thing I wanted to note here on the bottom is that it is kind of a convertible mouse, right? This comes with magnetic finger rests that you can pop off the bottom here, slide to the outer section right there, as well as this one here. Okay, now what you can see is that kind of gives you wings on each side. One of the things I'm not a big fan of when I'm using a normal mouse is that my fingers tend to drag across the desk. This gives you finger rests so that when you're using the mouse, your fingers are actually being able to be supported by these 2 rests coming out. Now, you can decide to have them in or out. It's up to you. I'm going to have them out so that when I'm using the mouse, I have a really good way of sort of sliding it across my desk without my fingers sort of dragging on the surface. As far as the cord goes, it's a pretty long cord. It's a nice sort of flexible braided cord, really strong, really sturdy. That way you're not kind of having it drag across the desk. It's got a nice braided feeling to it for an ultimate sort of slide across the desk. It does have a button on the top here. This button is for changing the DPI of the mouse, so you can change it on the fly if you want to. One thing to note that my son and I both would have liked was the ability to kind of change the program on the side mouse wheel here. This side mouse wheel will only scroll horizontally on the page, whereas this one will typically scroll vertically. This one will only scroll sideways. Kind of was hoping to do something, maybe change the volume or do something else, and maybe they'll add that to the software in the future, but at this point in time, those are locked in. But the other buttons here, the 2 here, the 2 up front here, the main left and right button, the mouse wheel button, are all programmable, which is very nice. And one thing I also like, just if you want to know this, when I'm looking at a mouse, I always look at this, is that the scroll wheel here does have a tactile bump with every single sort of unit. Some people like the mouse wheel where you can just spin it and it just goes. I like to feel every unit of movement when I'm using that mouse wheel. So let's go ahead and take a look at the software that comes with it. One of the things that I noticed was that probably could use a little tweaking to make it a little bit more user-friendly, a little bit more understandable, but it's pretty much the same as always. You can come in here, you can program each one of these buttons. You can see the little dots here that allow you to change each one of the buttons. If I wanted this to be my forward button, and this to be my back button, I could do that. You can assign macros to each one of the buttons. You can do sort of main functions here, like player, pause, stop, volume up, volume down, that sort of thing. So it's pretty wide compatibility with what you can actually program to each one of the buttons. On the setup tab here, you have your DPI settings. Each one of these, I think you can cycle through. So underneath the light settings here, you can have it basically just be always on. One cool thing about laser is that when you click the button, it actually responds to the button click. So that's super nice. And then also dazzling, light shadow. There's a bunch of different settings that you can set. You know, I might go with sort of like an always on. I can do random or change the color to whatever I want. But yeah, as far as a budget gaming mouse go, I mean, LTC knocks it out of the park with all their products. This one is no exception. I've really enjoyed it. I want to thank them for sending it over so I can share it with you. I'm a big fan, like I said, of the LTC products, so I'm looking forward to using this on my desk. And like I said, if you're interested, the link is down below. But until next time, this is Carl from Technical Goodies, and I'm out.